Hello everybody! Today we're going to be making the Brando Tee by Mood Fabrics. It is a free pattern. This is actually the Brando Tee, what I'm wearing right now. I've also made this one. I wear these all the time. Now this is actually a unisex pattern, so the t-shirt is a bit longer. So as you can see, I kind of cropped mine. Everything else I kept the same. It's a boxier fit. I actually love that about it though. I found this remnant piece. It's a waffle knit, like stretchy material at Joann's. There was exactly 1 yard of it. I've already cut out my pieces and I've got quite a bit left. So my guess is I used maybe 3/4 of a yard for this project. Like I said, it's a free pattern. I've linked it below. So go print out your pieces, cut out your fabric, and let's start sewing. Quick note before we start, today I am using my serger. I love this guy. However, if you don't have one, that is totally fine. You really just need a sewing machine with a zigzag stitch. I will be using my sewing machine later on to do the hem on the bottom and to hem the sleeves. Everything else I'm just gonna be using this for, but again, if you don't have one, that's fine, just use your sewing machine. Anytime I cut out a pattern and save it, I'll put it in one of these yellow envelopes and I'll make some notes. So again, it's on Mood Fabrics. It says that it calls for a 3/8 inch seam allowance, but it's a boxy tee, so I was more generous with it. And if I'm being honest, I really do not know how to measure seam allowance on this. This might just be like me being stupid, but I have absolutely no clue. So I just wing it, and I probably did closer to 1/2 inch, maybe a bit more. And I use my serger for everything but the hem. First, I took my back and front pieces and I clipped. I never pin on my serger. I will only clip the front and back shoulder seams together. I'm now going to serge that with about 1/2 inch seam allowance. Now it's time to move on to the sleeves. This part can be a little bit tricky, just take your time and remember that the notches are your best friends. Start by clipping the top notch of the sleeve with the seam of the shirt. From there, you're going to clip the front notches and back notches, and then after that, just match up the edges as best you can and serge it up from there. Usually I speed up these clips for you, but I didn't on this one because I think it's so important to just slow down and take your time. It's a little bit trickier when you're sewing on a curved edge like this instead of a straight edge, and especially if you're using a serger, just remember it's much less forgiving than a sewing machine since it's cutting the fabric as you go. So I got my sleeves sewn on. I turned it right side out, and honestly, I think it's looking so darling. Now, the sides are not sewn up at all, and of course the collar is not sewn on, but I'm loving already how it's draping. So next we'll be sewing up the side seams and the bottoms of the sleeves. This part is so much easier to clip because it's just a couple straight lines. Of course, I started by matching the seams and the notches on the sleeve, and I think there's a notch about right here in the middle. Everything else I just sort of lined up, and let's take it back to the serger. Okay, we're not done yet. I still have to add the collar and hem, but I am loving this material. It's so flowy and light, and I think that this is just it drapes a lot nicer than the other t-shirts I made with the Brando Tee. I think I like the length. And you know, I can always tuck it into pants or shorts if it's just a little bit too long with my outfit. So yeah, I'm super happy with where it's at right now. So let's add the collar and then give the sleeves and the bottom a little hem. So for the collar piece, we are just going to take right sides together, match them at the notches, and just serge along that edge to close it up. Super easy. My t-shirt is right side out, my collar is sewn together. Now fold it in on itself so that the wrong sides are facing each other, and make sure you're matching the notches. Let's pin this to the t-shirt. Starting with the seam of the collar and the back notch of the t-shirt, clip that. Next, you're going to clip the side notches of the collar to the side seams of the t-shirt. And from there, you are going to stretch to fit it as well as you can, as evenly as possible, to the rest of the t-shirt. When you've got enough clips on there, take it back to your serger and sew it up. Here is what it's looking like right now with the collar. I think adding the collar just like really ties the piece together. It suddenly makes it look like maybe I bought this at the store. Now you can top stitch around if you want, because there is like a little flappy bit underneath. But especially if you used a serger, it's going to be so short that it's not going to poke out. So it doesn't bother me. I'm not going to top stitch only because I like how the collar is looking just on its own. Now I have to go see if I have thread that matches this. If not, I might have to make a quick Walmart run. But I'm just going to hem the sleeves and the bottom. I might serge around before I hem. That way none of it frays, but then we're gonna be done. All right, good news and bad news. The bad news is I don't have matching thread and I don't feel like going to the store. Good news is, wouldn't a lettuce hem be so cute on this shirt? So I did a little scrap here. I think this is looking really cute. And so for those of you interested, let me show you the settings on my serger. And instead of rolling, because honestly, I hate rolling and pinning and hemming stretchy, like slippery material. And this is like some of the slickest material I've ever worked with. Like I love how it drapes, but it is slippery. So this is gonna be so much easier. Let me show you my settings in case you want to follow along. Here are all my settings. I'm leaving both needles in. I switched this part to the R for rolled hem, and I put my differential feed all the way up to a 2. To create a lettuce hem, just lightly tuck on the material as you're feeding it through the machine, and that can really help form a nice ruffle. Also, if anybody out there knows why my machine is making this noise, please leave a comment and let me know. I did change the needles the other day. It didn't help. I cleaned out the machine. I don't really know what else to do except maybe take it to the surgeon. Okay, I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. But for real, let me know if you have any suggestions. And we are all finished. Okay, I'm so glad I chose to do the lettuce hem because honestly, I just did not want to go get matching thread. This is a very boxy unisex top, and so I think adding that frilly detail gives it just a little feminine touch. And I do really like the contrasting color. I mean, it's not a hard contrast, but that like white, that cream thread with the baby blue, I think is really cute. So yeah, of course you could just hem this like normal if you're not a fan of the frill. That's no big deal, but it was just easier. I didn't even have to break up my sewing machine. I used my serger the whole time. I do really like the length of it. Of course we can do the little millennial tuck. I can't resist the urge. You just have to tuck it in the front. I do also like tucking things in all the way around, and it is long enough to where I could do that with my high-waisted pants. Thank you guys for sticking around. I hope this was able to help some of you who are trying out the Brando Tee. It is such a beginner-friendly pattern, and honestly, I love that I can sew staple pieces for my wardrobe like this. So go give it a try and let me know how it goes.